Hi all, welcome to another video, and in this video I'll talk a little bit about some of the changes that I've been making to my day to do, document at my day to do, which is the file sharing app, and that's so this was supposed to be the big reveal, but I just gave it away. I basically gave away the host name or the address for where I posted this app. Anyway, before we get on to that, as is tradition, welcome to another video. And today is a beautiful day here in Sydney. It's nice and sunny. It's just the weather is lovely. It's really good. It's starting to get warmer now. From that ridiculously cold winter that we just had. So yeah, it's alright. It's been alright. Yeah. So yeah, now onto the video. In this video, so my goal is to talk about some of the new additions to the FileShare app, including the deployment of the supposed production version on AWS, and what are some of the services that I use in AWS to get this URL to be live and to be accessible by everyone, and also some of the security things that are added to the file sharing app. Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure how much did I cover in the last video that I made on the file share app. I'll go and look that up, but let me just try to talk about the state of this project at this point. And it's actually come a long way. It's starting to look like a lot more of a usable product than it did like a few weeks ago. So what I've done in the last few weeks is I've sort of accelerated development on it and get it to the point where it is. So after I added the MUI and all of that, and I also added the JOT authentication. So what I did was, once I added the JOT based authentication, I replaced the JOT I replaced the existing basic authentication mechanism that was in the app before with everything, with the JOT auth that I just added to it. And then I also added social login via Google. So when you come onto the app, you can just log in using your Google credentials. And obviously, for those of you who know how OAuth 2.0 works, or for anyone watching this video who's actually used a website or a product like an app or something where you said, okay, you've got the option to sign in by Google, and then you click on that, and then you're redirected to that Google login page, and then you click sign in, and then you authorize the app to use some information from your Google account, and then you're redirected back to the app. So that's what happens here, and I added that. The only thing that I've added is that once I accomplished this via one of the React Google plugins, Google OAuth plugins for React, and then once you've authenticated Google to use your app, then the app would get certain information from your Google account, which includes things like your email address and your username and so on and so forth. And then so what was interesting was for me to actually facilitate that OAuth and also ensure that it integrates with my the JOT authentication that I've got in the product. And so yeah, I did that, and once that was done, then I felt a bit more comfortable in that, like, the app is a bit more secure. And so yeah, that was an interesting step. So in terms of what's pending from the JOT authentication is, so at this point I've got the access token, but I don't have the refresh token. The access token essentially has a 24 hours validity, which is a big security red flag. I know that. So that's I'm fixing that very soon. I mean, I intend to fix that really soon. But right now, given that it's still in development and there's like so much other work to do, um, I've sort of pushed that back in the well. I've pushed that lower in the priority list at this point. Um, but yeah, I'll be doing that very soon because obviously before the app is completely public and all. So yeah. So yeah, that was so now the it's actually really good. And what else? The other thing that I added was that I added two system design diagrams. So for any of you who know how this industry works and how if you want to get into a tech company or something, you typically do a system design interview, correct? Yeah. So so what I've done is I thought that you know what. So now that you've got an idea of what I'm talking about, so system design diagrams is something that I've always been doing from like very early in my career. It's just that now, what I realized after having this app come to the point that it has come, I thought that you know what, it would be a really good idea for me to give a high level overview and visualize the different moving parts of the system. And that's exactly what I did. So if you go to the GitHub repository and if you see one of the folders there, it's clearly written that it's for diagrams. So if you check that folder, you will see two diagrams in there, and I've attached them as PNG files and the original XML or the whichever format draw.io uses. And yeah, so you could check it out. I'll actually put a link to the exact location in the description of this video, so you can check it out. Yeah, the system design diagram, just a high level overview of how things work, and the other one is, like I said, two diagrams. The other one's a class diagram, and I'm actually not sure how useful that class diagram is. I mean, you can visualize the classes that exist. I mean, it does visualize the classes that are there, but I'm not sure I've done the best job of identifying the relationships, the dependencies, and aggregates, and so on and so forth. Because it's been ages since I drew a class diagram, and it's really it's really difficult at this point for me. Yeah, so having drawn that class diagram, so I was thinking how I could approach this the next time. And so I think the problem with the first time me trying to draw this was the fact that I tried to visualize all the classes in the system. But when I look at this next, what I'll do is I'll actually visualize the components of the system. So just like a little area of the app, I'll try to visualize all the classes within that area. I'm not sure how I think domain is the right word. Just visualize all the classes in that domain. Or we can even think about that in terms of like a feature, in terms of how, what are some of the things that are needed to actually make changes to this particular feature or add this feature or so on and so forth. So yeah, I'll come back at that. But for now, for the diagram that I've drawn, please go ahead and have a look at it. And if you've got any feedback, let me know. I'd be happy to, make any corrections, or better, if you'd like to create a PR and then fork my repo, create a PR, and then let me know, and if all good, I'll approve it, and we can merge it in the main project. Alright, so let me see what the diagram. Let me see what the diagram looks like. Okay, so this is my FileSharingApp, and over here, right, yeah, system design, and so for those of you who know, I've used this tool called draw.io. it's alright. It's not bad at all. Like it's I mean it's really good for diagramming. Alright, so I've got it. So what I visualize is that what I've tried to visualize the user journey of uploading the document as well as downloading the document. So how when you try to upload the document, it goes to the load balancer, and the load balancer sends it to the cloud, and the cloud is just like hypothetical at this point because the cloud is essentially a monolith at this point, which is like the web server. So I've got the server running on Elastic Beanstalk, and then you've got the UI running on S3, and then the connection is secure via CloudFront. So it will send that request to the when I visualize the cloud, and what I visualize in the diagram is like the different services, the different modules that exist. So there's the storage, then the file store, as well as the metadata file module, and then there's like that service, and then the user service and the authentication service, and then you've got the social service that you can use to sort of share files, and you can email files to others. And then I've also drawn the endpoints in there, like what are some of the API endpoints there. And for API endpoints such as like create, read, update, and delete, I've just said CRUD endpoint. That's it. I mean, that's self-explanatory really. And then I visualize like the file store, as well as like which is like a bucket, like the S3 bucket, and then you've got the metadata database, DynamoDB, and what I haven't quite listed here, what I haven't quite visualized here are how I've configured some of the listen the load balancer to serve a secure to serve via a secure endpoint. But anyway, that's for a further revision of this diagram. For now, this is what it is. So yeah, and lastly, before I go, I'll just briefly touch on this. I've also updated the test coverage for the API, for the Java side of things. Actually, not just the Java side of things, I've updated the test coverage for the Java side of things, and I also added some UI testing with Cypress. Now, the UI testing with Cypress is fairly straightforward. I mean, it just spins up a browser, and then it will enter the URL, it will try to log in, and so on and so forth. I've added the first test, so for those of you who are watching this video, and if you'd like to help out, look, I'd really appreciate this. So fork the repository and then add some of your own Cypress tests, and yeah, like create a PR. I'd be happy to merge the PR. So let's collaborate. I could really use some help in here, so that'd be good. And then in terms of unit test coverage for the Java side of things, yes, I've added that. I've added more tests for the controller layer, and I'm just adding some tests for the services layer, and then I'll be checking that code. As of now, there's about 25 unit tests, and obviously the most challenging thing would be when it comes to adding unit tests for the DynamoDB, for the database layer. I anticipate some challenges in there, but I'll let you know how it goes. But for the services layer, well, I'm just using Mockito, and Mockito is awesome. And I've had some challenges with ByteBuddy on the MacBook that I'm on my Mac machine. But yeah, I'll document some of those things. I'll document some of those things in my blog, and I'll write an article, and I'll share it with you all. So that'd be great. So you can know as well. So that's it. So I'd recommend check out my FileShareApp repository, and it's come a long way. It does a whole lot more, and it's looking a lot more like a finished product. It's got some good API. It explores some API endpoints, and it's also got some. It's got some decent UI now, and then now it's also got some UI tests and some unit tests to go with it. So yeah, you can contribute in any way you want. And if you like my videos, and if you like what I'm doing, well, please support me and buy me a coffee. I like my Github repository, give it a star or a fork. That'd be great. Until next time, I wish you well, live long and prosper.